Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here with us. I just want to do a sound check with our council colleagues that are in hybrid mode. Majority Leader Clark, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can, Madam President.
Thank you. I'm calling to order this regularly scheduled meeting of October 24th, 2022 to order. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark.
Present.
Councilman Gale. Here. Councilwoman Hercules.
Present.
Councilman LeBron.
Presente.
Councilman Mitchell.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Present.
Councilwoman Rossetti.
Here.
Councilman Sanchez. Councilwoman Surgeon.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. For the members who are viewing us through our Facebook page, thank you for joining us this evening. Also know that this is being broadcasted by Channel 6032 for Frontier customers and Channel 96 for Comcast customers. And now if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you. And this evening we have two point of privileges, one from myself, Councilman Sanchez and Councilman LeBron, and the other one from Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti to Nightfall. So I would like to call Mr. Alex Rodriguez, if he could please stand over here with us to be presented.
Hello? Hello?
Alex, this is a citation from the City of Hartford, the Court of Common Council, to thank you for the services of Prom Connecticut, which you have taken a role as a director since 25. And now I'm going to pass it over to my council colleague so that he can read the official citation. And Alex's family is here, his wife and 2 daughters and his son.
Thank you, Council President. Whereas Alex Rodriguez, a longtime resident of Hartford and native of Puerto Rico, is accredited for bringing Operation Prom to Connecticut in 2014, which is called Prom Connecticut. Alex took control as director in 2015. And whereas Operation Prom is a national network whose mission is to provide free prom dresses and tuxedos to underprivileged teens across the U.S. and help them attend their prom at little or no cost, and has been doing so for the past 15 years. And whereas for the past 6 years, Alex Rodriguez single-handedly has been hosting Prom Connecticut in Hartford by providing free prom dresses and tuxedos to eligible seniors at Hartford Public Schools, despite their financial situation, sickness, or disability. And whereas the success of Prom Connecticut is due to the hard work that Alex dedicates daily. This is an event managed by Operation Prom, National Network, and Alex Rodriguez, and supported in partnership by the City of Hartford, Men's Warehouse, and Hartford Public Schools. Now, therefore, be it on this day, October 24th, 2022, on behalf of the Court of Common Council and the residents of the City of Hartford, we thank you for your accomplishments and your continued commitment to give back to the Hartford community, and we wish you continued success.
Would you like to say something?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. As a proud parent of 3 Hartford students, I know firsthand how the year, and obviously I want to thank them for all their help. But I also want to thank the mayor, the past and current city council, the Board of Education, all the volunteers, and my parent organization, Operation Prom National Network, for making this possible, because without the help of everybody, this could not be done. Even though I do all the running around for that event, without them, I just couldn't do all of that work. And for that, I'm very grateful. And I think it's important to think that sometimes a simple gesture can go a long way, and especially for a young life that is worrying about all kinds of things. And one less thing for them to worry about, and especially that they don't have to spend any money to go to their wonderful, charming prom night, I think is worth all the work. So I thank everybody for that.
Thank you. And if his family can join us now for pictures. And we're so grateful to you, Alex, and for everything that you do in our community. Thank you. Testing. Here you go, Councilwoman Rosati.
Come into the pool. So I'm going to read this citation I have. Oh, what's this?
Not the kind of citation you get for driving too fast.
You will get it.
A better kind of citation.
I didn't do one. I didn't know. So we're going to. So, whereas I don't have a citation. Oh, is it? Oh, it is. We're so glad you're here this evening. So, good evening. This is a point of personal privilege for Nightfall, and I have this citation here, which I'll read. I'm going to just tell you from my story about Nightfall, and then we will put something official together for you. I haven't done a point of personal privilege in a long time. Nightfall is the brainchild of Ann Cubberly. Ann Cubberly does not like to take credit for things, but that noggin right there started all the rest of this. And 11 years ago in Elizabeth Park, It started with some folks and some puppets, a few acorns, a few squirrels, and it has grown 11 years later to the fantastic, imaginative, wonderful, stupendous thing that is brought to our city of Hartford. And the important part I've always watched, Anne, is her way of making sure people are included, who are sometimes left out. The artists are paid. The artists reflect who we are. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but there are some events, we won't name it. And this has really been an important part to me. And then a sidebar, in my life, I run a homeless facility, and Anne, we had a grant, and Anne came in and worked with the men. We did art once a month, and it got to the point where they'd say, "Where's the art lady?" And Anne even stayed past. I think we'd still be doing it if the pandemic hadn't happened. She even stayed past the grant. But that's the kind of person that Anne is, but that's why Anne attracts people like the rest of the people that are here today. So we are lucky to have Nightfall. We are honored to have Nightfall. You know, if anybody's watching here and they want to donate to Nightfall and to the prom dress, also, the website for Nightfall is
nightfallhartford.org.
There you go. What's the website for the prom dress, Alex? Prom Connecticut. We want to be equal opportunity fundraisers here. So we're really excited that we have the opportunity for people who maybe out in our community have never witnessed. This is just a small, tiny fraction of what Nightfall is like, and we encourage you. Where's it going to be next year, Ann?
Well, we hope Bushnell Park.
We hope Bushnell Park. So let's say it'll be in Bushnell Park. Oh, we'll work it around the marathon. You take priority. So, and that comes from the city council. So we're excited. We're glad. And how do we end this citation, Council President?
Actually, Alex,
What is the final sentence of the proclamation of the citation?
Adam, can you get that for me?
Therefore be it resolved.
That the Court of Common
Council thinks Nightfall is best, and we're so glad you're here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to go watch from our seats.
Okay.
And then you can stay there and
Okay.
say something and then.
Yes, I'll say something. Oh, we're doing something. Monkey's back up.
Actually, you know what? Can we take a picture first and then once they're done with the Councilman Mitchell, let's take a picture.
We're so organized. Picture.
Julie.
Do your thing.
I'll do my thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. All right. You go, Mr. Gale. So, Nightfall, I'm not sure who my audience is. And as we say in Nightfall, never show your butt to the audience. So, yeah, we started off 11 years ago, and we are an organization whose our sort of main phrase is everyone is invited. And the way that we do that, one of the things that we love Hartford. Hartford is our home, our place to celebrate. The artists that we work with are from Hartford. We only advertise Nightfall in Hartford. We don't advertise it anywhere else. And we travel from park to park in 5 different parks in Hartford, so we hit all the neighborhoods every year. We're in a different neighborhood, and we work with that neighborhood in many different ways to, take part in Nightfall as we are. And as Marilyn said, we pay artists for rehearsal and for performance time. We also make giant puppets and costume characters, as you can see here. And we travel around the city all summer long, bringing joy to all of our lovely friends and neighbors in Hartford. And we support other people's events by bringing giant puppets and costume characters to raise everyone's joy and imagination, which is super important, especially these days, because it's our imaginations that are going to change the world and make it better for everybody. That's what we need, is more imagination. Melissa, would you like to? I'd like to introduce Melissa Craig, who is our Nightfall Board President.
Switch. I love this lady. Like, we bonded. She's brought me so much joy and inspiration as an artist. I'm joined on stage by some amazing artists as well. I'm not performing. I'm just here to like be #1 cheerleader. But I think on behalf of the artists and the community members that Nightfall has affected in the last 11 years, I would want to say thank you. Thanks for including, thanks for creating, thanks for bringing the art right to our doorsteps and making sure we all feel like we're a part of it. And Nightfall is a very uniquely Hartford thing. It's something for all of us to be really proud of. Everybody out there watching, everybody who doesn't even know about it yet, and raise your hand if you've ever been to a Nightfall before, if you've been to the show. Because, yes, all the characters. So, if you haven't been, treat yourself. We'll be around again next October. And we want to keep doing this for many, many years. So it takes a lot of sponsorship, a lot of help, a lot of support. And us being uniquely Hartford, very special brand to this area, we want to see some more support from the City Council. We want to see some more support from the City of Hartford, as much as we can, getting everybody, having Nightfall be like a household name. Like Hartford issued t-shirts with Nightfall on it. We love it that much, and it's brought so much joy to thousands and thousands of people throughout the years. So thanks, Anne, for including us. Thanks to Lauren and Jakar and Julie for being longtime members and friends of the show. And we want to celebrate. We're going to put on some music and we'll let the characters do their thing for you just a little bit so you can see what's going on here with these puppets.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. And now I would like to pass the floor to our majority leader, Mr. Clark.
Thank you,
floor is
Madam
yours.
President. Good evening, everyone. Through you, I would like to make the motion that we suspend the rules to walk on item 8.1, which is a resolution that the Court of Common Council and the mayor shall develop an action plan to address ongoing housing issues, and that the development of such plan shall include consideration of potential measures to combat housing.
I second the motion.
A motion has been made and properly second to suspend the rules. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman Hercules,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mishton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, Councilwoman Surgeon,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the minutes of the October 11th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Are there any comments? Any comments on the minutes? There being none, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hercules,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, Councilwoman Surgeon,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make the motion that we place on the consent calendar the following items. Item 3.2, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution authorizing the City of Hartford to accept a grant of $78,000 from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving for the Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative. Item 3.5, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a grant in the amount of $80,070 from the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation Highway Safety Office. Item 3.7, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution transferring $153,827 from sundry non-operating department expenditures in fiscal year 2023 to the Register of Voters Office. Item 4.1, Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee with a company resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant from the State Department of Economic and Community Development in the amount of $1 million to make capital and other improvements at Elizabeth Park. Item 4.2, Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee with a company resolution authorizing the city to accept a $350,000 grant from the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and to execute related documents for the purpose of making numerous capital improvements to the east lawn of Hartford's Elizabeth Park. Item 4.3, Public Works, Parks, Recreation Committee with a company resolution authorizing the city to accept a $2 million grant from the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and to execute related documents for the purpose of constructing a new entrance to Goodwin Park as well as nearby sidewalks and lighting on Maple Avenue. Item 4.4, Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee with a company resolution confirming the appointment of Maria Nunez to the Hartford Golf Course Oversight Commission. Item 4.5, Planning, Economic Development, and Housing Committee with a company resolution confirming the appointment of Sita Naeem to the Greater Hartford Flood Commission. Item 4.6, concluding Planning, Economic Development, and Housing Committee with a company resolution pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 2, Subsection I of the Hartford City Charter, and that the Court of Common Council does hereby authorize the purchase of the Church of the Sacred Heart at 24 Eli Street.
I second the motion.
Motion has been made and properly second. Are there any comments, any discussions? There being none, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hercules,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, Councilwoman Surgeon,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make the motion that we receive the following items. Item 3.9, Planning, Economic Development, and Housing Committee, communication concerning resolution to confirm the appointment of Marianne and Clark to the Central Regional Tourism District. Item 3.10, Planning, Economic Development, and Housing Committee, communication concerning resolution calling for the Hartford Court of Common Council with the city departments to identify ways to create designated tractor-trailer parking areas. Item 3.11, Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committee, communication to postpone in committee concerning an accompanying ordinance of making the general fund appropriations to reflect project costs relative to public improvements in Parkfield Community School. Item 3.12, Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committee, communication to postpone in committee with accompanying ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 19 of the Hartford Municipal Code. Item 3.13, Operations Management Budget and Government Accountability Committee communication to postpone in committee concerning with an accompanying ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 350 of the Hartford Municipal Code. Item 3.14, Operations Management Budget and Government Accountability Committee communication to postpone in committee concerning an accompanying ordinance making general fund appropriations to reflect project costs relative to public improvements in the Expeditionary Learning Academy at Moylan. Item 3.15, Operations Management and Government Accountability Committee communication to postpone in committee concerning an accompanying ordinance making general fund appropriations to reflect project costs relative to public improvements in the McDonough Middle School. Item 3.16, Operations Management, Government and Budget Accountability Committee communication concerning postponement in committee with accompanying ordinance amending Article 17 of Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code of Hartford.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Are there any discussions? Any discussions? There being none, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hercules.
Yes.
Councilman LeBron.
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez. Councilwoman Surgeon.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make the motion that we refer the following items to the mentioned committees. Item 3.1, Mayor Bronin with the company resolution confirming the appointment of Louis Carey Berman to the Commission on Refuge. Let me strike that. Let me start over again. Mayor Bronin with the company resolution confirming the appointment of Carey Berman to the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs to the Labor, Education, Workforce, and Youth Development Committee. Item 3.6, Mayor Bronin with the company resolution adopting the City of Hartford's Affordable Housing Plan to the Planning, Economic Development, Housing Committee. Item 3.3, Mayor Bronin with the company resolution authorizing the city to accept an $84,000 grant for the City of Hartford tree mitigation project to the Public Works, Parks, Recreation, Environment Committee. Item 3.4, Mayor Bronin with the company resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant of $250,000 through the Urban Green and Community Garden Grant Initiative, also to the Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee. Item 3.8, Mayor Bronin with the company resolution confirming the appointment of Sharice Snipes to the position of Chief Innovation Officer of the Metro Hartford Innovation Services, MHIS, to the Committee of the Whole. And resolution item 8.1, that the Court of Common Council and the Mayor shall develop an action plan to address ongoing housing issues, and that the development of such plan shall include consideration of all potential measures to combat housing that is unsafe, also to the Committee of the Whole. Item 5.1, Mayor Bronin with accompanying ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 2, Sections 327 to 330 of the Hartford Municipal Code to the Health and Human Services Committee. Also, that has a public hearing of Monday, November 21st at 7 p.m. And resolution item 6.1, the resolution renaming Colt Park Field 7 to Douglas Nelson Field to be referred to the Public Dedication Committee.
A second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Are there any discussions? So I want to talk a little bit about the housing resolution that was walked on the floor this evening. And for those of you who are watching us through any platform, I'd like to read it. This was a resolution that was walked on by the majority of the council members, and it reads as follows for the record. Whereas the primary responsibility of the government of the City of Hartford is the health and safety and welfare of Hartford's residents, and whereas housing is a basic need and landlords have a basic obligation to ensure that the housing is safe, well-maintained, and adequate. And whereas the City of Hartford must use every measure possible to hold landlords accountable for meeting that basic responsibility. And whereas no one in Hartford should live in housing which is unsafe, unhealthy, and unsanitary, and yet too many Hartford residents continue to live in such substandard housing. And whereas the City of Hartford has increased the number of housing inspectors and has established a residential licensing program in order to hold landlords accountable, but more must still be done. And whereas funds have been allocated for community safety as wellness through ARPA funding and various funding sources as set forth in the fiscal year budget. And whereas it is the intent of the City of Hartford to take an aggressive and proactive approach in addressing substandard properties for residents living in the mentioned conditions now, therefore it be resolved that the Court of Common Council and the Mayor shall develop an action plan to address ongoing housing issues, and that development of such plans shall include consideration of all potential measures to combat housing that is unsafe, included but not limited to the following. 1, aggressively hiring housing code inspectors using fund they already allocated and working together to increase the number of housing inspectors in the upcoming budget. 2, identifying funding sources for paying for emergency repairs on occupied residential properties and identifying methods for recovering such costs of remediation from property owners. 3, engaging community partners where possible to leverage city dollars. And 4, expanding the tools available to the city to remedy unacceptable conditions, including, for example, seeking to place properties with persistent unaddressed violations in receivership. And this is a start of a conversation. I had Mayor Bronin join me this Saturday where we visited property 105 Sherbrooke Street. We met there with the Tenant Unit Association. We spoke with residents who were there from 105 Sherbrooke and from other developments within the City of Hartford. So this is an ongoing conversation. In the next 2 weeks, we will meet with the Tenant Union Association. They will bring representatives from the various buildings where there are concerns and comments. So I want to tell the residents that were here last Tuesday that you were heard very loud and clear, and that it is our priority to address this matter as quickly as possible. Councilman Nixon.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that the existence of this resolution on our agenda is a testament to the fact that people came out 2 weeks ago and filled this chamber and made us hear their concerns, and I think give all of us a concept of the breadth of their concerns, that this was not just one building or two, but that this is a problem citywide. And it's going now to a committee of the whole, which means there's another opportunity, and it is a very important opportunity for folks to come out and be heard on this question. This is not the first time, and 2 weeks ago Tuesday was not the first time that the members of this body were made aware of this problem or were given an opportunity to address this problem. This issue was discussed when we talked about the budget. We talked about allotting more money for housing inspectors, much more, to hire far many housing inspectors, but we did not do it. We talked about creating a program to help people move out of substandard housing, to help them pay their first, last, and security. And we all said it was a great idea, but we did not vote for it because it might have taken away 1% of the police budget. So this is not new. The difference is that now the people were in this chamber and they were demanding change. And so I think we only can expect that change to happen and to come from this body if the people continue to be in this chamber and to remind us that this is a city of renters. We are 75% renters. And it is the renters for whom we work first and foremost, and the conditions that a handful of landlords, most of whom don't even live here, the ones who have made these problems. We're not talking about mostly the 1 and 2 unit folks who live upstairs from their tenants. We're talking about big landlord companies that are in other places whose directors never set foot or barely set foot in our city and who are seeing this as profit and nothing more. We need to be reminded, this body, needs to be reminded that we do not work for those landlords. We work for the tenants. So I hope that folks will come out and make a ruckus and make us sit here all night and do their bidding. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rossetti, followed by Councilman LeBron.
Thank you, Council President. I thought a lot about last week, and as someone who has spent 30, 35 years coming to this chamber off and on in many capacities, I smiled last week, or last council meeting, not because of the tragedy, but because of the activity, because I saw people expressing what other people don't get to do. And it meant a lot to me. Certainly it led to what we're working on, but we haven't been in this chamber. We haven't been coming into City Hall. We haven't gone a lot of places, and we're back now. And I encourage people to come. I think it's important. I think it's when you're organized and you bring the issues and people listen and people work together, a lot can happen. So I really appreciated it, and I had flashbacks to years ago, and I really, really appreciate it. So I thank the community, and I thank my colleagues.
Councilman LeBron.
So I want to echo the sentiments of both Councilman Mictum and Assistant Majority Leader Rossetti, and also applaud the leadership of Council President Rosado and the Mayor for understanding the importance of this issue. What I will say is that the victory isn't won, and that this in and of itself is not the panacea. So this is not the finality of it. And so what I mean by that is that there's still more work to be done. I do applaud the importance of community voice and community organizing. I also applaud that the people came together organically. Oftentimes, groups come together with intention, but with an agenda. And this agenda was clearly on behalf of the renters and the families that are suffering in these units and these dwellings. So continue to come forward, continue to lobby, continue to move it forward, continue to advocate, continue to be grassroots, and let this one issue be an example for other issues that will come along. But what I would ask folks who came to the City Council chambers or the dais is that understand that you are also part of the solutions. We don't have all the answers. The answers has to come from everyone collectively. And so I would ask that just as equally as you had the energy to organize collectively, please continue to bring that energy to help us find solutions so that way we can rectify and remediate this issue effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there anyone else with comments? There being none, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hercules.
Yes.
Councilman LeBron.
Yes.
Councilman Michdom.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez. Councilwoman Surgeon.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make the motion that we postpone executive session item 7.1, which is Mayor Bronin with the company resolution, potential settlement of a workers' compensation matter, Corey Johns versus the City of Hartford.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made and properly second. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hercules.
Yes.
Councilman LeBron.
Yes.
Councilman Michdom.
Yes.
Excuse me. Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, Councilman Surgeon.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make the motion that we take action on item 4.7, which is Operations Management and Budget and Government Accountability Committee with accompanying resolution approving a tentative agreement for a successor collective bargaining agreement between the City of Hartford and the Hartford Police Union effective July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Are there any discussions? Councilman Mixtum.
Was that, okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes. Yeah. Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah.
This contract negotiation process has been a study in obscurity, in opacity. We don't know what the city tried to negotiate, and that's not because it's forbidden. We also had no mechanism for this body or for the people of this city, to tell the mayor and his team what mattered to them in the negotiations. Over a year ago, I brought forward a resolution that we should have a public hearing so that the people could talk about what mattered to them about the police union contract negotiation. And the majority of this body killed that resolution. And when we were in committee discussing this proposed tentative agreement, we learned that we couldn't learn anything about the negotiations. Did the city bring forward anything about discipline? Did the city try to change the disciplinary process that gives police a slap on the wrist for conduct that would get anyone else arrested? We don't know, because there was an agreement between the parties that the negotiations would be off the record. Is that agreement required? No, it was not. The parties agreed at the beginning, just voluntarily, that they would have off the record negotiations. The city has set it up so that we don't know what happens in there, and all we get is what comes out at the end. And we don't get any input at the front end. And so what we have is a disciplinary process that has not changed. And I would guess, though of course I can't know, that the city didn't even try to negotiate a better disciplinary process. The city went in and negotiated for wages and benefits, which is good, as it should be, but that is not the only thing and not the only way that police affect the city. Yes, they affect our budget. But more importantly, there are people who move in this city with guns and with a license to use violence and almost no consequences when they do it. And what the negotiation team has shown, I think, though I can't know, is that they don't really care about that part, right? They don't care about pushing hard to change how we hold police responsible for how they treat us. They care about the money, and they could leave the rest behind. And that's why I'm voting no.
Councilwoman Hercules, did you want to speak?
I did, thank you, and I
you have the floor.
Thank you. For all those reasons just stated by Councilman Nixon, I also am voting no. Unfortunately, this contract, or at least these agreed upon tentative agreements, do not reflect the will and the desire of the people to foster and to encourage further police accountability in our city, in one of our most vital and important departments. And it seems like we were given an opportunity to do so, and it did not happen for many reasons that were just expressed by Councilman Mixtum. I would urge this council to really think about a process by which in the future community input can be garnered and advocated for going into the negotiating process, so that we can have at least some assurance that the community will, and what people are hungry for, which is further police accountability as we work to transform our police department to one that is more of a partner with community members. And so the fact that it wasn't done this time is a huge missed opportunity. And then the second, I just have a question, because I don't have the charter citation in front of me, but my understanding was any type of change that would implicate wages, benefits, and so forth needs to be analyzed by the Treasurer's Office to see the impact on the ADAC. And it's my understanding that that did not happen, or at least I'm not aware that that has. So I guess that is a question to this body. Has that happened? Because I know that has been a concern for other resolutions that have a financial implication. This one would. considering that this agreement really boiled down to wages and benefits. And so the question to the body is, was that analysis done, and do we know how these increases and changes will impact the ADAC?
Corporation Counsel Lombardi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Councilwoman Hercules, to address your question, unlike a TA that affects pension benefits, the tentative agreement with the police union does not alter pension benefits and therefore wouldn't have an impact on the ADAC.
Thank you.
Councilman LeBron.
Yes, I want to start off by saying the points that I agree with Councilman Mictum and Councilwoman Hercules. You know, I agree that in the negotiation process, oftentimes it's done behind closed doors. So Councilman Mictum defined it as obscurity by design, I think was the intention of his words. The opaqueness is done for a reason. It has been done for a reason. It is to protect the confidences of both sides of the negotiating party. I would agree that in future instances, not just in this instance, but in all instances when we're negotiating, we should have input. And then once we provide that input, that those inputs from community and all the community stakeholders, including ourselves, would influence the bargaining process. But that's currently the stakes that we have right now. That's the game that's being played right now. And so we have to play by the rules of the games as we see it right now. Once we learn the rules of the game, then we have to play it better than everybody else. And so right now, we have to learn how to change those rules, I would say, and be a leader in that fashion in order to gain more transparency in the process, if it's at all possible. I realize that the Hartford Police Department is number one, the highest budgeted department from the city. One would argue that the Board of Education would be with the pass-through that we have from the State Department of Education. So for all intents and purposes for this conversation, let's say that it is, and rightfully so. But I think that the concerns here are not altogether involving the budget. It's involving processes that are taking into account police accountability. Now, as a council, we have worked long and hard. Majority Leader Clark came and put a resolution called the PARB, where we're working on. We revamped our CPRB. I believe we're the only city in the state that has an inspector general. So we're using the tools that we have and that we've created as a council to effectively put them in place. Now, the genesis of those things are only 2 years old. And for us to believe that in 2 years that they would have come to full fruition and we would have the accountability measures in place prior to this agreement, I think would be ambitious at best. So I would urge my council colleague Mictum and my council colleague Hercules is that when we talk about the budgeting process and the lack of transparency or the opaqueness or the obscurity, if you will, that we talk about it across all departments and all the interface that the community has with our local government. There are multiple interfaces, and so we should have influence on all of those things. But right now, as the rules of the game's being played right now, we're looking to gain insight where insight cannot be gained. And so from this point forward, it's safe to say that anything that we think the administration did would just be assumptions. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman LeBron. Councilman Gale?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I would first I would like to echo what Councilman LeBron just stated, and I would like to emphasize his comment about learning the rules. If you want to play the game well, learn the rules, learn how to play the game. I secondly want to be critical of the comments I heard earlier. They were directed at the administration, and I'm not the administration, and I'm not an apologist for the mayor. I ran against this mayor. However, I must say I find it a tad offensive. In fact, I find it more than a tad offensive that the comments made regarding the administration in their conduct of the negotiations for this police contract, the comments imply that the administration is being nefarious, that the administration is doing things underhanded, that they're intentionally trying to hide things as if they have something to hide. I find those comments terribly offensive. I think those comments should be made directly to the mayor and the administration and allow them to respond to them. I also think it's a cheap shot at the mayor and the administration to, on the one hand, understand and admit that the ground rules that were laid for police negotiations for this contract were that you can't discuss it. And then you come out here and you say, well, we don't know if they tried this. Well, you don't know. So it's a cheap shot, from my perspective, to criticize the mayor and impugn and imply that they didn't bring these things up when you don't know those answers. If you have concerns, bring the concerns. Learn the rules of the game, play the game, let's move on, let's enact policy, let's do what's right for the city of Hartford. We've all been doing this. To Councilman LeBron's comments, Majority Leader Clark came forward with the CARB. We all worked very hard on the Civilian Police Review Board. We've made some substantial inroads, I feel, on the conduct of our police department and holding them accountable. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Gale. I'm going to echo the sentiments of Councilman LeBron and Councilman Gale. You know, when I sit here as council president and I hear those kind of comments, it's very offensive. It's very offensive because the housing resolution that we're putting forward today was worked on by council members, by the mayor, by corporation council together. And as a team, we moved that resolution forward. And so I find it offensive when I'm going to direct my comments to you, Councilman Mitchum, when you sit there and you say these kind of things, or, you know, you go on Twitter and you bash us Dems. At the end of the day, we all work for this city. We all work for our residents. And I think that instead of making accusatory comments or trying to imply to the city, to our residents, that things are happening behind the scenes or that this mayor has a hidden agenda, it's just not true. It creates misinterpretation. And so I am asking you that from now on we work together and we try to avoid these kind of comments that just create chaos out in the community. Because we're coming out of COVID, a pandemic, inflation is high, people have to worry about things that they need to put, oil, heat, food. And so once again, I am going to ask you and all my council colleagues to, from now on, let's talk as a team, even though we serve different parties, in the best interests of the residents. And I'll say this for the record, that I work very well with this mayor. I've been council president since 2020, and in a long time I haven't seen an administration or a council body that has put forward so many great things for this city. Thank you. Are there any more comments? Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Madam President. I got to say, it seems like as we pat ourselves on the back for this housing resolution and talk about the rules of the game when it comes to the negotiation of contracts, a lot of people on this day has got a short memory, because that housing resolution, those ideas, they came up, okay? I proposed a lot of these things to solve these problems back at budget time. I tried to work as a team with Councilwoman Hercules and the Democrats and Councilman Gale, and everybody said no. All right? The rules of the game in this city is that the police run the thing. Let's be real. Councilman Gale says, I'm suggesting there's something nefarious. I didn't mean, and if it sounded like that, I didn't mean to suggest that there's something nefarious. I'm suggesting that there's something up front, and it is that the negotiating team on this contract did not care about changing the disciplinary procedures, right? We talk about what the rules of the game are. Attorney Lombardi told us in a committee meeting last week that the city and the union agreed to keep the thing confidential. They agreed. There was no rule. They agreed to. And I understand Councilman LeBron's comments that that has a certain benefit in terms of negotiation. But I don't think we need to protect the confidences of the police anymore. And I don't think we need to look out for the police because we work for the people of this city, which basically is not the police, right? So when we compare the negotiation of other unions, there's a big difference between the other unions in this city and the police. One is that most of them live here, and the other is that they can't kill us and they can't beat us and get away with it. And the police can. And so we need to come at them differently. And I won't apologize for that. I said what I said. We should do it differently at the budget, at the negotiations, at the PARB, and at the CPRB. If we want change, if we want to move forward, we got to do the thing differently.
And I'll have to say for the record that I support our police department. They do a tremendous work trying to keep this city safe. And I think that, and I'm going to speak for myself, I will continue for the record to be supportive of the men and women whose main job it is. They are men and women like us who want to go home to their families every night. So I will not sit here and hear our police department be bashed or that they're doing a bad job. It's just not acceptable. Once again, it's not good for the community. So let's please have a conversation on that. Are there any other comments? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hercules,
No.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchum,
No.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, Councilman Surgeon.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And that concludes our business for this evening. Everyone have a nice night. Thank you.